You see the triangle here again, right? This is what I'm talking about, the magical triangle. My hands start to break, I move, and then I start with my hips, and I hit the ball. Can't possibly get more extended here, look at this. I mean, this to me is pitch perfect. What's up, golfers? Welcome back to GP Golfing. Alright, so, as you probably seen from the title and thumbnail, we're gonna talk about the wideness of the swing, how these, changer helped me develop my swing and my ball striking to, position where I'm right now. So a little bit of a story. Around 3 years ago, I started my professional journey from amateur to professional, and this is where I realized that my swing was not good enough, that my technique was not good enough. So I had to, I had to develop my swing to a certain position and go forward and upgrade my swing because, not a lot of times when you are an amateur that your swing is good enough to play on a professional level. So I realized that I'm not consistent enough, I don't have enough power, so I started working on my swing. Now, one of the many things that I think it was the first season, at the end of the season, I was starting to, starting to do the wideness of my swing and try to get, the more width of my backswing as I possibly can. And this is where kind of my shots went from bad striking to much better striking, but at first it was really hard. Now let me show you a picture, which it's just a simple picture from Tiger Woods. I've read the Tiger Woods book and this gave me so much knowledge, but from here you can essentially see how the wideness of this actually goes. So here you got the more wideness, it's better, and then cocking the reach, which a lot of amateurs potentially do, and it's not really the greatest thing that you can do. But essentially this is what I want to show you, how this transformed my game, and I'm gonna give you a little bit more tips on the wideness of the swing and pros and cons, and what this does to your swing and how you can achieve, without cocking your wrist, and how you can achieve better control and better power just by swinging the club more away from yourself. And this is what many good ball strikers actually do. If you're gonna see Rory, Tiger, all of the good striker and really good golfers do the same thing. So yeah, let's run it up on the golf course, and I'm gonna show you all in real time. So let's do this. So we are at the golf course right now, and I briefly covered a little bit on what we're gonna be doing in this video, but I want to start off with a little bit more of experience, and I tell you more about my feels and my experience, what I learned throughout my experience. So essentially I was always more extended than going with my wrist and cocking them a little bit more up, but I tried everything. I tried cocking the wrist very early, and I tried very extended, and this is how I play right now, and that's why I've been so consistent. So around 2.5 years ago on my professional journey, I realized that my ball striking is not as consistent and is not as powerful. So I was like, okay, we need to try something. So I read the Tiger Woods book, and I learned from it a lot, and this is where I started to change my swing. So one of the things that really caught my eye was wide backswing. All right, he said, the wider the backswing it goes, the better it is. Now this was really nice, and the feeling was not as good as the shots were. My feeling when I went, backwards, when I really got extended, it was hard for me to feel the club because I was always used to my wrist, right? I was always kind of feeling player using my wrist. But I realized that when you play with long, with big muscles, so with your chest and with your biceps and with your forearms, and you do a triangle, and then you just turn with your shoulders, you're gonna be much more consistent than playing with your wrists. Okay, and this is what happened to my game. I started to become really consistent, and all of my shots were kind of going in similar direction. Of course I had pushes and pulls and everything, but they were much more consistent and much more powerful. So yeah, this is just kind of a little bit of my story, how I got to a realization that this is really good. Now let me briefly cover pros and cons, so positives and negatives, about going in a backswing wide and narrow. So most amateurs, they either not strong enough or they're not agile enough for you to do a wide backswing, right? You need a big shoulder turn, all right? Because everything that you're going to be doing is going to be with your shoulders or with your arms, okay? Because from here you're not going to be really cocking your wrist left and right, or all you are going to be doing is turning and then turning back down, all right? And this is really good. So if we just look at from consistency area, if I start my backswing like this, right, I have much more error that I can do, right? I can go like this, I can cock the wrist too early, I can cock the wrist too, you know, too late, and I'm not gonna get to the top of the swing same as if I just have the magical triangle right here and I just turn with my shoulders, right? Do you get what I'm trying to say? And for most amateurs, they go very, you know, they like to use their wrists a lot, okay? So they use the wrists a lot, they go up like this, and then from here, what happens, as I said before, you know, you can get different angles, so you're not as consistent, but you get very steep at the top. What happens when you're very steep at the top? You're most likely gonna be very steep at the bottom. So what happens if you're very steep at the bottom? Well, you're gonna need to compensate with your wrist. And here we go, you use your wrist like 3 times, pretty much unnecessary, all right? Of course, there's some players on tour that you know, they start off early with their swing and they're cocking the wrist, but don't compare yourself to them. As I said in my previous weight transfer video, tour players and all of the highest level, they've been practicing their swing for a long time. But if you just want fundamentally be good at something, I think it's great to realize what certain things do to your swing and, you know, what they can come with negatives. So from there, you know, you become very steep. And then when you become very steep, you can't really go through your ball with your arms, you know, straight. So you have to kind of cock the wrist. So let me hit a few shots with cocking the wrist early. I might hit the ball pretty good because, you know, I'm a professional, but still, let's try. Yeah, it's very hard. It just feels like I don't have control over my arms. And I'm not trying to say this because I like the extended, but I'm just trying to show you what truly feels like and what truly is. Let me do another one. Cocking the wrist early. See, that was a good shot, right? But still, I had to use lots of my wrist, which sometimes feels good, but if I want to hit like 20 shots straight, I don't think it's gonna do the trick. Let's do it again. Cocking the wrist. Yeah, it just feels like my shots don't have any power. And all right, let's leave power at, you know, a certain distance, but most likely let's talk about consistency, because consistency is more important than the power, right? If you're gonna be always on the fair, I think you're gonna play better than if you can hit the ball 300 yards and, you know, every single time you're left or right? It's not really the best thing to do. So in this case, cocking the wrist for me just feels wrong. First thing is, when I go to the top, my elbow could be very scrunched up, and when my elbow is very scrunched up, you know, I'm very steep, and I'm always a steep guy, so for me this would feel very steep and I wouldn't have the power that I can produce. The other thing, when you use lots of wrist, you can maybe hit the ball further because you can, you know, you can swing your wrist like this and you can get maybe a little of distance in, but you're gonna lose so much consistency, all right? So that's why I really don't like when players, you know, cock their wrist very early. I think it's just really bad for consistency and at the end for the power as well, because if you don't have a good smash, then your distance is going to be off as well. So let me show you the extended way, right? So what I like about this is we got the magic triangle, right? You like, from here you don't have to think a lot. All you have to do is let your shoulders turn and do all the work, all right? Everything will come naturally. You don't have to force anything, right? Because here you have to force, okay? You're not gonna, you know, magically just start like this. You're gonna turn with everything, right? So from here we got this triangle, and now I don't have to think about anything. I can just turn, all right? I can just turn, boom, and I'm at the top, right? And then from here I can just release, and this is it, right? So now you see how the triangle and widening these can give you an advantage, right? So you know what? Let's hit a few shots. From here, straight back, boom. Right, I have so much more power in my swing because the wider the handle you have here, the more power you can produce, right? So if I extend that way, means I'm gonna have so much more leverage, and the club is gonna have much more speed and much more in a bigger pad, right? A longer pad, which means I can actually hit the ball further and more consistent because I'm gonna be staying on the same pad, upwards and downwards, right? So let's hit another shot. We're gonna be playing between the two flags, red and white, and we're gonna be extending back. Boom. right? A little bit of a pull, but still good. So if you're someone who's been struggling with steepness or with inconsistent shots and you're using lots of wrist, I want you to do something. I want you to stand on the ball next time you go on the course and just lock your elbows. I don't want you to lock your elbows like this, right? Don't lock your elbows like this, but I want you to lock your elbows down and straight. So you feel like there's a string here that is keeping everything together. And now from here, we got everything stable, and now we just turn with our body, okay? Now from here, you want to keep this throughout the whole swing. When you go to the top, and when you think your arm is going to need to start to break, because at some point you're going to need to break because you're not going to go up like this, right? So it will need to break when you go up, and when you start to feel like this arm starts to break, this is where you go in the upper swing. And then from there, if you have watched my previous video of the weight transfer, you're gonna know that you have to start your downswing with your hips. And when you start your downswing with your hips, your hands will just follow and will go exactly as your hips are gonna go, right? So from here, let's do a slow motion. We extend, we just move, my hands start to break, I move, and then I start with my hips and I hit the ball. All right, so this is kind of the most simple explanation that I can do, but yeah, hopefully you get the idea of what I'm trying to say if you're cocking the wrist or if you're going very wide with your stance. One more thing about wideness, okay? If you're not strong enough or if you're not agile enough to, you know, go very straight back, I want you to just feel like there's a string. This is what I like to do. There's a string here that's pulling you that way, okay? Just imagine you're standing here, and when you start to move, there's a string that's pulling you a little bit in the back, right? So just have that feel. Even if you can cock the wrist a little bit, I just want you to feel like you're extending back, okay? You don't have to be like me, but if you're just gonna be a little bit like me, I think you're gonna be more consistent because there's gonna be less weird movements in your wrists and other parts, okay? So just from here, we set triangle, and then keeping triangle throughout the same swing, and then feel like something is pulling. So it's pulling right, and then my elbow starts to break. I go up, I start with my hips, and I hit the ball. Of course, it's hard to hit 5-iron slow motion, but let me give you 2 more shots so you can see how this works in real time. So we got hands, and then we're gonna do everything together. Elbow break, hips, bam. All right? And this is how you should feel at the end. And I really do think that if you have been doing a lot of wrist movement, if you're gonna start going wide and having your elbows and your arms locked all the way throughout the swing, then you're gonna play much better and you're gonna have more consistent shots over cocking your wrist. So now we're gonna do a little bit of analysis on our swing and how the wide backswing, you know, actually goes in a slow motion video, because I think it's great for a golfer to see more visually, and it's hard, you know, when I play or when somebody else's play, to get, you know, slow motion look. So I have few slow motion videos. I think I have pitching wedge, 7-iron, 2-iron, driver, and I have one of the best golfers in the world, so we can compare and how they actually go in a backswing as well. So first of all, I just want to start off, and I want to start off with my swing. I think this was a pitching wedge, so just watch how, oh, here we go. So just watch how I will extend back, right? You're gonna see with the mouse. So right here I extend back, right? And there's no wrist movement. I move my hands above, and then, you know, of course my hips start to move, and then we keep the same triangle almost here as well. It's a little bit broken. This is not perfect right here. As you can see, my left arm is a little bit scrunched up, but that's fine. We can't, you know, be robots. So I think, you know, as you can see from here, now we're gonna go to another one right here, and this is, I think, 7-iron. So I want you to see now, I go in the back, you see, same thing, the triangle right here. This and this is a triangle right here, as you can probably see. It's never been broken. Now we're gonna go upwards. As I said, the elbow broke, and now my elbow is gonna get broken. We're gonna start, you know, you see this, bam, and then we're gonna keep the triangle throughout the same, throughout the swing. And this is what I wanted to show you to see in slow motion. Now this is 2-iron. We're gonna go to that later. So we got Adam Scott right here, and this is Adam Scott's swings. Now just watch here how he goes in the backswing without breaking his arm. You see, he's not cocking his wrist. He's moving the momentum, the triangle. He moves up, and then of course you're gonna see from the left side he winds up, and then of course he hits the ball right here. Bam. He has the same triangle, right? He's more upwards, I'm more downwards, and this is just amazing position that you can be. Of course we got Rory right here. Bam. You see this, right? See the extension back, right? He's not cocking the wrist, because many players would have the club that is right here. The club would be like this already, and that's very steep. So he keeps the triangle. Of course he goes up, he does a little bit of hinge, and then on the backswing, boom, you see the triangle here again, right? This is what I'm talking about, the magical triangle. All of the good ball strikers use it, and so should you. If they use it, I think it's a good idea that you can use it to some degree as well. So we got 2-iron out over here. You're gonna see the extension. I can't possibly get more extended here. Look at this. I mean, this to me is pitch perfect, and I'm super happy. Actually, my swing started to looking very good. I was never a fan of my swing, so I'm slowly starting to get my swing in my brain and starting to trust it. But you see here how I extend, right? Just such an extension. And then from here, as I said in previous video, if you haven't checked out the weight transfer video, I think it's really important for you guys to understand how good strikers transfer the weight. And as you can see, my ass and my hips are gonna shift left, and then my hands fall down, and boom, right? I don't have the triangle right here. As you can see, the triangle is not perfect, because my right elbow has always been stuck a little bit behind, and that's why I get some pushes. But I will slowly fix this. Now I want you to just sit back and watch my video with Tiger Woods and just tell me what you think. Now, to me, it looks pretty good. I see some flaws for myself that I still need to improve on, but I just wanted to show you this to see that, as a good ball striker, we pretty much do pretty much the same thing. But now we're gonna go slow motion. You're gonna see Tiger is, just using his triangle all the way that he possibly can. He's extending the same. I mean, I'm extending the same as him. I can't say he's extending the same as me, but you see the extension right here. So he moves up, and now the elbow gets broken. We move up, right? He's gonna have, his rotation in the upper spine, the upper body is absolutely amazing. This is what I like. I'm too stiff right here, so I can't turn my hands fully, but slowly I need to start working on my stretching and mobility to get this done. And then from there, he lets his hips down, like as we said in the weight transfer video. He pushes his elbow down, and then you see the magical triangle right here. Bam, bam, bam. Hopefully this gives you some clue. I'm still not there. You see, it's almost there, but not quite, but I'm still getting there. So I think this looks pretty amazing. And I'm, and as I said right here, he's more up, I'm more kind of downwards and putting my right leg is a little bit behind, but that's fine. We're gonna work on that. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good look. But yeah, this is what I wanted to show you from the analysis and from today, that all of the good ball strikers are gonna have a wide backswing. Of course, there's some tour players and some good ball strikers who hinge their wrist quickly and they hit a good strike. But for most of really good swings, and Tiger, Rory, Adam, I mean, it's inevitable that this is absolutely what you could be doing. And maybe you have been hinging before, maybe you should try the wide backswing, and hopefully that helps you out. But anyways, as I said before, if you haven't checked out the weight transfer video, I think it's a great video. We did kind of similar approach than this one. So Go check it out. I think it's gonna help you out. And hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much. Bye bye.